If you're dairy intolerant, that means you can't enjoy custard that's full of milk and cream. But don't worry, I have an alternative for you using coconut milk. It works really well and almost gives it a tropical feel. So in a pot, we're going to add 270 millilitres of coconut milk and we're going to bring it to the boil. And I'm going to flavour it just like a classic vanilla custard with vanilla beans. So we need 1 vanilla bean. And when using vanilla beans, the aim is to get as many seeds out of the pod as possible. So soften it with your fingers and then with a small knife, we're just going to split it down the centre and we're going to scrape all those lovely seeds out and we'll pop that in with our coconut milk. Now while that's bubbling away, I'll get on with my eggs. I need 2 eggs. I'm going to crack the eggs and we're just going to use the yolks. So separate them into one bowl and a second egg. I like to use my hands as the strainer so we don't get any of the whites in with our yolks. Fabulous. And now for this recipe, I'm using 40 grams of caster sugar. You can add a little less or a little more depending on how sweet you want your custard. And then just with a whisk, we'll whisk together the yolks and the sugar so it's pale and the sugar is dissolved in with the yolks. Okay, that's the consistency that we're after. This milk has come up to the boil, so now we can whisk it in. Now sometimes when you're doing this by yourself, the bowl moves too much. So I like to place a cloth underneath the bowl and that'll ensure it stays quite stable as we add our milk. Because if you're adding hot coconut milk directly into the eggs, you want to do it consistently. If you don't do that, it will scramble. So slowly, and consistently whisking as you add that coconut milk, we're going to get a really lovely result. Don't forget all of the vanilla bean, add that into there and scrape down that pot. Great. Now we need to thicken this up, so we're going to place this back on the stovetop and pour in our coconut custard, scraping down all that vanilla again. And we're going to turn the heat onto a medium heat, not too hot because the whole aim is to just get this thick and glossy but not scrambled again. So using a spatula, I'll give this a mix and constantly stir it so it doesn't catch on the bottom. And what we're looking for is this custard to thicken up, thick enough to coat the back of this spoon so when I do place my finger through it, we get a nice clean line. See how it's still a little liquidy? It needs a few more minutes. Okay, this has thickened up nicely. You can see that it's coating the back of this spatula and I can draw my finger through the custard. So we'll turn this off and I'll place this into a clean bowl. Just pull that out. And now the custard does need to cool and we don't want any skin to form on the top. So just a bit of cling film over the top. And I'll just place this directly onto the custard. Now this goes into the fridge for at least an hour to cool completely. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare some berries to go with it. Okay, this has cooled down and it's also thickened up. See how thick and glossy it is? The perfect coconut custard. Now before I serve it, I want to finish off my berries. I've just cut them in half. I'll add some sugar, just a spoonful of sugar, even half a teaspoon of sugar, not too much, because this custard is sweet enough. I also need some tang in this to counteract the sweetness, so I'm going to use some lime. I'm going to use the zest of half of this lime, and lime and berries just work so well together. So plenty of that. And then I'll just cut this lime in half and a generous squeeze of that lime just to get as much juice out as possible. I like to use my little teaspoon just to squish it in there and so none of that lime juice is wasted. And then a quick mix And if you like, you can allow this to macerate for 20 minutes or serve it up straight away. It's completely up to you. Now, I like to serve this with a generous amount of this coconut custard. Look at all the speckles of vanilla into a shallow bowl just like this. Yum. This is for two as a main dessert, or you can serve this on the side for many more people, maybe with some chocolate cake or some pudding. The list is endless. Now for our berries. Just spoon these berries in our custard. Fabulous. And now we need some crunch. So some coconut. These are coconut shavings that I've toasted, and we'll pop them on the top. The simplest of desserts are always the best. A custard that's dairy-free, but super delicious. Like I said, has a little bit of a tropical feel to it.